Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining our third session in our summer learning series. We have today Michael Belkin, who will be showing us the ins and outs of Outlook and Outlook Web Access, helping us to be more efficient and effective in our work. And we're very thankful for Michael for doing this and hope everyone's well. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome everybody in the room and the entire international audience of 3 people. Welcome to this webinar. So normally I would use some kind of an icebreaker to get the meeting started, but I figured today the topic is so fun and so exciting that there is no need to do this. This will speak for itself. So as Elizabeth mentioned, we're talking about Outlook and Outlook Web Access. And before we jump to that, let me make a quick introduction. There's going to be a series of webinars in this summer learning series, which will touch on topics related to productivity tools that are made available to the staff at the URJ through the Office 365 platform. And we've covered this topic previously about what the platform consists of, but it's probably worth making a quick mention of the various components because each and every one of them will be covered in a separate session. So you've got the SharePoint, OneDrive, and Yammer, which is the collaboration suite made available on the platform. Exchange Online is the subject of today's conversation. Link is the instant messaging, audio and video conferencing tool, and possibly more. Office Online, this is where we'll talk about Office productivity tools like Word, Excel, etc., that are made available both on your computers as well as in the cloud. And OneNote, even though it's taken a center spot on this chart, remains somewhat of a mystery to everyone, and we'll see whether this can be turned into a great tool at the URJ. So the focus of today's discussion is Exchange Online, and maybe more importantly than just the engine itself, which makes the email and calendaring and contacts possible, the important aspect of the conversation relates to the tools which allow you to access that content. So before I jump into the tools, let me quickly tell you how we got to Exchange Online. You know, Exchange is not new to the organization. We've been operating that platform for years and years and years, and all of you are very familiar with Outlook and Outlook Web Access. However, in February of 2013, we struck a deal with Microsoft which made cloud licenses available to us, which enabled us to consider moving Exchange away from running at 633 here in New York and onto the cloud. In July of 2013, we started a pilot by moving the IT department staff onto Exchange Online. And you actually may recall that the months between February and July of 2013, we spent building out an early iteration of the tent. So in July of 2013, we started the Exchange pilot. In June of 2014, we completed that migration by moving all staff at the URJ onto the Exchange Online platform. So as you can tell, in just under a year, we accomplished the migration of the entire organization to the platform. So let me quickly tell you what it is that's been accomplished, or the change in moving from Exchange Online, from Exchange running here at 633 to Exchange Online. We moved from an environment where staff in various locations were using different versions of Outlook. Now everybody is using the same and the latest version of Outlook 2013. We have improved the operational characteristics of operating email and Exchange by strengthening both the backups and our disaster recovery posture, which makes our overall preparedness for all kinds of eventualities much stronger. And we have improved access for you to messages and content in the Exchange archives by increasing the size of mailboxes that are available to everybody and by eliminating some of the restrictions on those mailboxes that existed previously. There is still more to come as we continue to strengthen the platform. You're all familiar with Postini. That's the engine that currently manages spam coming into the URJ mailboxes, and it prevents thousands and thousands of messages on a daily basis from arriving in your inboxes. We're spending a little bit upwards of $20,000 on keeping that engine running. We're going to migrate to a Microsoft anti-spam engine, which is included for free in our licenses. And we will also implement archiving and what's known as legal hold, and that is usually something that becomes a very cumbersome exercise for IT and HR departments when we are requested to freeze contents of mailboxes because of some legal or similar actions. So that's yet to come, and you will be seeing more of that in the coming weeks and months. So on to the real topic of today's gathering, and that is how we access information that is being managed by the Exchange engine. And there are two main conduits into it. That's Outlook, and you'll know it's now Outlook 2013, and Outlook Web Application, or as we all refer to it with an acronym, OWA. So just a couple of words on how the two applications or tools are working side by side. If you've used both, you would have noticed already that the look and feel of both is somewhat similar, and certainly it's gotten more similar as Microsoft moved from the 2007 to 2010 and now 2013 and Office 365 platform. I've included in this presentation a link that gives you a feature-by-feature comparison of what works in Outlook and what works or does not work in Outlook Web Access. The features that don't work in Outlook Web Access the same way as they work in Outlook 2013 tend to be fairly esoteric and not the ones that we use on a daily basis. And I'm saying this because OWA has really become a very useful platform, and we'll talk more about why that is. If you are users of what used to be Hotmail or Microsoft Live accounts, which I think they've now rebranded as Outlook.com, this is their retail email application available for free to anybody who is interested in signing up. That interface, that user experience in Outlook.com is made very similar to OWA, and as such very similar to Outlook, which is what people use in enterprise environments. And this last bullet point is really just a fact of life. Corporations which go through migrations from Exchange Online to Exchange in the cloud and enable their staff to use OWA sometimes do not deploy Outlook client to the user's machines at all. And this is so that they reduce the footprint of what is installed on everybody's machine, and so that the management of software on individual users' PCs is simplified by not having to run the platform, and in and of itself is a testament to the features and functions that are available in Outlook Web Access. So I am going to be jumping between this slide deck and Outlook Web Access and Outlook 2013, which I'm running on my laptop. And by the way, I should probably mention that those of you who have participated, bless you, who have participated in last week's, Elizabeth and Scott gave the presentation, in last week's presentation by Scott Hertz about some useful tips on tools and techniques of managing the flow of email in your mailbox. This presentation, the presentation I'm giving, is different, and hopefully the two together will equip you in making these tools as productive as possible. So, starting with Outlook Web Access. First of all, this is the URL that that is specific to signing into that tool. Although, as you can tell from the very first bullet point, access to OWA is available from any site running on the Office 365 platform. And I'm going to run through these bullets, and then I'm going to show you what each one of these bullets actually means in live examples. You can display or have a window for OWA on as many tabs as necessary, and I'll tell you why that is useful as well. It has full search capability through the entire Exchange store. That means calendar, email, contacts are all available for search. You can manage the look and feel of the user interface, the user experience, by using the Microsoft gear and then choosing display settings. And again, I will show you how to do that. And finally, and I think this is quite powerful, because it's a cloud tool that is accessing information that is in the cloud, you are actually able to edit, certainly view, but importantly, edit attachments without leaving the browser. And so whether this is Word or Excel or PowerPoint or any of the Microsoft Office file types that come into your email, you can edit them straight from the OWA interface. So with that said, let me jump into my browser, and I use Chrome, and by the way, the tool works just about identically in, certainly in Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, and I'm sure some others. Microsoft has published a matrix of what features work best in which browser. So Internet Explorer is the flagship product for Microsoft. You will see check marks going down the line on all features. The other browsers are pretty close to it, but if you're interested in seeing that matrix, let me know and I can forward to you the URL. No, this is not it. 1 second. This is it. So you're looking at my inbox through Outlook Web Access. And let's see. So let's talk about, I'm sorry, this is my Outlook. Yeah, it looks like.
That one.
There we go. Okay, so this is Chrome, and this is still my inbox. Okay, sorry for that little confusion. So the first bullet point I mentioned, which is OWA is available from any Office 365 site. And at this point, you could or should know at least 3 sites that are running on the Office 365 platform. It's the tent. It's our most recent introduction to the tent, which is Yammer. And it is the new staff intranet. All of those 3 sites are operating within the Office 365 platform. So this would look familiar, maybe, if you've used Yammer. Let's see. Let me open this. Tent home. And you will see, so again, hopefully this looks familiar. If you look at the bar across the top, this one, here's your Outlook, calendar, and people. And if I choose Outlook, this is going to, again, bring me into my inbox. Now, clearly, there's no point in keeping my inbox open on 2 tabs. But, so here's my inbox on tab 1, and this tab I am going to turn into a calendar. So now, without leaving the browser, I can have my calendar and my inbox open side by side, which sometimes becomes a hassle if you're in Outlook because the messages become more hidden and the navigation between the 2. It is a matter of choice. Both work very well. I think the point here is OWA comes pretty darn close and is sometimes more convenient because it's operating in the browser window. Now, so we covered 2 things, the availability from any Office 365 site and displaying on multiple tabs. Let me go back into my inbox. So you see this search mailbox and this unified search bar allows you searching through both. Not sure what to look for. Let's look for mobile. And right away, so search is very interactive. It comes back to you with the options that you have for searching. If I simply press enter, it is going to respond to me with anything and everything in my mailbox that satisfies that criteria. And I get out of search by pressing that X, and I'm back to where I started. So, this is useful. Now, I mentioned to you that there is a way of managing how messages are displayed by utilizing a gear. This is the gear, and it is omnipresent on every Office 365 site. It's in the right corner, and it is context sensitive, so it knows what screen you're looking at, and therefore it will respond with different options based on what you're showing in that particular browser window. So in email, it will show me a set of options which may not be available to me when I'm looking at calendar, which may not be available when I'm looking at the intranet or the tent, but they will gain their own set of options within that gear icon. So this is what's here for the email view. And as you can see, there's something called display settings. And it gives me a quick way of managing the message list, conversations, how the reading pane shows up, whether it's at the top or the bottom. And again, I'm not going to go into each one of them, but if there's something that does not feel comfortable or intuitive to you when you're using OWA, this is how you would change the look and feel of the application. It's probably worth mentioning, even though this is not new, but probably worth saying that OWA in its current iteration, as it has been in previous ones, is available from any computer which is connected to the internet. It is also available from any mobile device, be it made by Apple or so iOS-based, or any other manufacturer, Android tablets and phones, and of course Windows tablets and phones. Now, I think I mentioned to you what I thought was the really neat capability of OWA, and that is editing attachments without leaving the browser. So let me just find one where I know I have a Word document attachment, because that happens to be, hold on a second, I think this is the one. Okay, so clicking on the attachment opens what's known as Word Online. So by clicking on the attachment, this did not launch Word, which is of course installed on my URJ laptop, but you can tell that I'm still operating in the browser window. And I have this nice little link at the top that says edit a copy. When I click that, two things happen. One is a copy of this document is automatically made to something called OneDrive. And if the word or the term doesn't make a sense, that's okay. We'll cover OneDrive in one of our future presentations. But it's another one of those wonderful utilities that are made available through the Office 365 platform. And you can tell that now on the left-hand side, I am in the edit mode of the document that Robin had sent me. I can make changes to it. You will notice the ominous absence of a save button. The only thing I have is save as, and that is because, as with many online editing tools, be it the Google set of tools, a suite of products, or Microsoft suite of products, changes that you make to online while editing documents online are automatically saved. And the reason that's acceptable, and the reason we don't need to worry about how do we get back to previous versions of our documents, is because versioning is automatically enabled in those tools. So when you go back to the OneDrive where a document had been saved, it would give you the ability to look at the most current version, or any of the previous versions which existed prior to you editing the document. So I am not going to save anything or make any edits, and you can tell by pressing the back button, I am back in my inbox with full navigation capability across all my folders, just like I would be in regular Outlook. So that's everything I planned on covering about OWA. I still have an entire slide and a little demo devoted to Outlook 2013. So I'm not sure if this is a good time to pause for any questions, either here in the room, or I think Rachel is monitoring questions that may be submitted online.
Right. And if you have questions on the phone, please feel free to raise your hand in the GoToWebinar platform or type it into the chat box, and Rachel will be moderating those.
Okay. So let me go back to the presentation, which I think is here. Outlook 2013. Because you are all experienced users of Outlook over the years that the tool has been in use at the URJ, it doesn't make sense to go into basic features and functions because you're all familiar with them. It does make sense to talk about some differences or some things that may look different in this version of Outlook than it used to in Outlook 2010 and certainly in Outlook 2007, which you have been using. So I am only going to focus on the things which my staff has advised me are of most interest to you because it appears either not present or somewhat confusing. As other questions or how-to questions come up, please don't hesitate to forward those to the help desk, and we will deal with them either individually or we will make that information available to the entire staff on the intranet. And by the way, this presentation, as every other in the Summer Learning Series, is being recorded and will be made available on the staff intranet. And this entire PowerPoint slide deck will be available, so you don't need to copy the commands or the links or anything that appears in the presentation.
Michael, this is Rachel speaking. Before we move on to Outlook 2013, we just had a question actually going back to OneDrive. Audrey Merwin is asking, if you save a copy of an attachment to OneDrive, how do you find the copy later? And then what's the directory structure of OneDrive? Are these questions we should save for the OneDrive session, or can you address them now?
Let's do both, because I don't think I'm going to fully answer the question right now. So let's certainly make sure that as we put together the presentation for OneDrive that we have those questions available. OneDrive is accessible through two different methods. One is through your browser. You know, let me quickly jump to that so that you would see that. OneDrive right there. And so the appearance of the OneDrive through this browser interface is not unlike what you would see in the Windows Explorer, which shows you files and folders, and you can navigate down the list of folders and directories, so on and so forth. You obviously have some additional capabilities in OneDrive that you don't have in the regular Windows Explorer. The sharing of documents is very simple. If you want your colleagues or others to have access to the document to either view it or edit it, it's accomplished very simply by clicking on this ellipses, and you can tell that right away I can either open or share my document with whoever I need to. So we will go into much detail on how to use OneDrive. The entire repository is searchable, so Microsoft in many of their products is stepping away from the paradigm of making us carefully organize things into folders, even though most people still do that, myself included. But search is now sort of the ruling entity in finding content that you want. Because you type it, every piece of content is indexed, and every piece of content will respond to the search criteria that you enter. So if I may, I'll leave it at that, and we can go back to OneDrive or anything else that interests you after I cover the main topic of today's presentation. So let me jump back to my slide deck. Okay, so unread items in Outlook 2013 appear bland. And so the color scheme of Outlook 2013 does not make them stand out, and people do ask, how do we make them appear significantly brighter or differently from items or messages which we already read? We'll cover that. You notice that by default, if you're reading a message in the preview mode and you click on reply, the response message does not open in a new window, but rather appears inline in your Outlook window. Some people like it because it saves real estate on your desktop. Some people find it to be a horrendous imposition on their time and character and don't want to do that. The to-do bar, a very useful thing which used to appear by default in 2010, in Outlook 2010, has disappeared. It's easy to find and easy to make show up anytime you open Outlook. Search is as powerful as it is, its behavior can be a mystery. So there are ways of controlling how search operates for you, and this is a user-defined setting. And then finally, because we are all such heavy users of folders to segregate content and to help us find it, some of us have dozens, some of us have hundreds of folders on their mailbox or mailboxes. So navigating between folders and subfolders is difficult, even though most of us really operate in, let me just go out on a limb, 5, 10, make it 15 folders at most as the ones that we routinely access to both file messages and to read messages from. And Outlook has this very nice feature called Favorites, where you can, and I'll show you how it works rather than explaining it. So again, I'm going to leave the slide deck, and this time I'm going to jump into Outlook 2013, which is right here. So this looks very cramped, and it is, because we are projecting my screen, and the resolution on the projector does not allow for more real estate. So bear with me as the the messages are fairly legible. But this is my inbox. Let me begin by going in and changing the look of the unread messages. You can tell right now they show up with this line on the left side of the message. I will click on View. Oh, and by the way, so here's another thing which is not in my presentation, but maybe you're wondering, how come I don't have the ribbon showing? And I want the full real estate so I can see as many messages as I possibly can. But when I click on the menu, on any one of the menu items, the ribbon expands and covers the messages. So there is a setting, and you see this little pin. Here you can click it or unclick it, and it will make the ribbon stay or disappear when you're not hovering over it. So that's a matter of personal preference, and that little tip comes free with today's presentation. So we are in View. There is this very neat icon, and notice the gears. Again, it's called View Settings. I think this particular one is in font. Where am I? No, I'm sorry. Oh, I skipped a step. I will correct that in the slide deck before I publish it. So you would need to click on Conditional Formatting before you jump to Font. And there it is. So unread messages is what I'm going to edit. And when I click on Font, it gives me a choice of changing the font style, the size, and most importantly, the color. Let me pick something unmistakably visible. Go through the requisite OKs. And so there it is. So now my unread messages are much more distinct. I promise you I will undo this change after I'm done with the presentation. But you can pick the color you want and whatever works for you. Next, inline reply. So right now, you see, let me pick a message that I actually want to possibly play with. Let's see. Not this one, not that one. All right, let me play with this one. And I am going to say reply. And you can see that my reply appears right in line in my Outlook window. Now again, forgive the cramped real estate because when I'm using a full monitor, it is entirely more usable than how it appears to be right now. Still, it may not be what you like. You may want a window to open when you click on reply. Therefore, under File, under Options, under Mail, there is a section which deals with replies and forwards. And you will see that the first checkbox, which is unchecked right now, but if I check that, it says open replies and forwards in a new window. And I save this by pressing OK. If I click reply right now, it pops up a new window. So again, a matter of personal preferences. The good news is that both are available. Next, the to-do bar. And the to-do bar, oh, okay. So the to-do bar is this thing on the right. And I actually meant to take it off to start the presentation, so I'll do that. It's under View, and this one is simple. Here's the to-do bar, and it gives me a choice of showing calendar, people, tasks, or to turn it off. So if real estate is important, do not use the to-do bar. If you want to have a glance or a glimpse into your tasks and calendar and contacts as you are reviewing your emails, then the to-do bar is indeed a very useful tool, and I use it. And I usually go for calendar and tasks. And this is how they show up. Quick disclaimer. You probably do see that in my view into the calendar, only today's calendar shows up. This happens to be this particular version of Outlook 2013. The service pack needs to be applied, and then magically all of the calendar items will appear from today and future dates, and they will take up whatever real estate is available for them in the to-do bar. So that's the to-do bar. Search. And again, you know that search is right here, and you can tell it says search current mailbox. Now, if you want more than the current mailbox to be searched, if you want the search to be broader than the current mailbox, you do have that option available to you. If you go into File, again, Options, and this time we'll click on Search. So these are the choices I made. So when I am viewing messages in a folder, I want that folder to be searched. But when I'm doing this from the inbox, and this is my default entry into Outlook, and I'm searching through the inbox, I want the entire mailbox to be searched. And again, this is keep in mind, these are user-level settings. So I set it up this way, you can set it up any other way, and we're not stepping over each other's settings. There are other options, and feel free to explore them. And if you have questions about how they work, please come to us with those questions. The last thing I wanted to show you is favorites. So I've turned them off right now. And what you're looking on the left-hand side of my screen is just a view into my folders in my mailbox. By the way, you may or may not know that by clicking on the name of your mailbox, a dashboard comes up, which shows you, gives you a bit of an insight into your mailbox. So it will have your calendar. It will tell you how many messages you have in various folders. So frankly, I don't know if many people use it, but it's there. And if you want to explore it, please do. Some people find it to be useful. Back to inbox. So favorites. Let me click on you. Folder pane, right there. This little thing called the folder pane. And you can see that you can check or uncheck this option that says favorites. When it's checked, you can tell that by default 3 folders show up on your favorites. And here's the magic of this thing. As you scroll down through your folders, the favorites stay on top and are not hidden through that scroll. So if you happen to be operating in this folder and you're done, in order to jump back to inbox without the favorites, you would need to scroll through. I mean, there's some shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts, but to us late folks, you would need to scroll all the way up and then click on inbox. With favorites, you don't need to. It's right there for you, and you can navigate that way. So it's a time saver and a very convenient one. In addition to those 3 showing up, you can add any other folder onto the list of favorites. And so I will give you an example. I am routinely processing unpaid invoices. And so this folder is something that I go to quite often. And somewhere there, and I'm not finding showing favorites. There it is. So right away, this is my navigation. So now wherever I am, if it's my time of the week to begin to pay invoices, then all I do is I click on that folder and off I go. So that I think covers the planned items that I wanted to cover in this presentation. So the thank you goes to both those people who have listened to me as well as those people in the room who have helped me put the presentation together. And with that, I would be happy to answer questions, and more importantly, I've asked just about everybody in IT to be in the room so that if you ask me something I don't know, somebody will gladly volunteer. Rachel, and you let us know if there's anybody on the webinar who has a question as well, please.
Yes, I will certainly do so. As of now, no one has questions.
Great. Anybody in the room? Okay. I think that's it. Thank you. This was a great 40 minutes. I thank you for your time. This will be available online. And as I said, anything that you discover or want to discover on the Office 365 Outlook Web Access or Outlook tools, don't hesitate to ask us and attend the future webinars.
Yeah, the next week's webinar will be Grassroots Community Organizing 101 with Rabbi Stephanie Colin. So, please do sign up for that. It should be pretty interesting. And thank you to Michael.
Sure.
And thank you to all on the call. And thank you to everyone here in the 7A conference room at 633. And we look forward to future. Bye.